City Council in this city, speaking of Hamilton, City Council in this city, the new City Council is being sworn in this evening. As of an hour and a half or so from now, we will have 16 new or returning local politicians in place to govern and direct this city for the next 4 years. Well, there is someone we would naturally turn to talk about something like this. His name is John Best. He's publisher of the Bay Observer. Joins us now. John, how are you today?
I'm great, Scott.
Are you gurgling with excitement at the prospect of a new council?
Well, I'm a little excited. I've been covering or paying attention to this council for much longer than I'd care to admit, but it's been decades, and there has never been this much turnover. So it'll be interesting to see how these new people make out. And, we have to hope that they're going to make some good decisions for us, because it's going to be an activist council. There's no question about that. You've got 8 or 9 people that are pretty much convinced that they can do a better job than either the people they defeated or the people that are still left that are across the table from them. So let's give it a shot and see how it works. But, it's happening at a time when they've already had a preliminary meeting, and there's a 6.9, almost 7% budget deficit. And we get that every year, and then they whittle it down, and it ends up being something like 2%, and away we go. This year feels a little different in terms of the tools that they're going to have to whittle that budget deficit down. And the typical way of doing it is to just not do capital investment. And if you drive anywhere in the lower city, you can see what that looks like. So, some challenges. The other challenge is coming from Queen's Park, because it looks like the provincial government is largely taking planning right out of the hands of the local council, and that's one of the biggest jobs they have.
John, you mentioned that part that you said about how they feel they can do better than those who were there or across the table. That's a really interesting point, because I'm of the opinion that this particular council has put enormous expectations right on themselves because of that. This move for change, this move to clear out the old guard, all that kind of stuff. This, to me, has put the spotlight directly on the new folks who have said, I can do it better. I don't want to be overstating it, but they kind of have to do it better, don't they?
They have to do it a lot better. And it's, they're heading into that task at a real transitional time. I mean, this was a change election. It was going to be a change election if not a single person incumbent had been defeated with the number of resignations and retirements. But yeah, they've billed themselves as being smarter, brighter, and morally superior. So let's have at it and see how it works. But, at the end of the day, the taxpayers need these people to make some good decisions for sure.
Do you expect that it will be less of a circus then than the last council, if we want to use the word circus? And maybe that's being dismissive. I don't know. But is this going to be less eventful, maybe is another word, than the last council? Or do you look at this and go, no, I think this could be actually more eventful?
To be honest, I think it's going to be more eventful, because you've got a large number of people that don't have experience, even just at the rules of order and that sort of thing. That you can pick up on that fairly quickly. But one thing about it, if people thought that maybe meetings would get shorter with the removal of 2 or 3 of the people that didn't come back, my gut feeling, based on what I'm seeing on social media, is that we're in for a lot of long meetings. I think we're in for a tsunami of virtue signaling. So I think we're in for, for council watchers, I think it's going to be a very interesting term.
What does that do if that happens? I mean, is that something that you get the sense that everybody in town wants to see happen? Or if that happens, do people around town just kind of then tune it out and go, well, I'm just don't raise my taxes too much and I'll just pay attention when we get my new bill?
Well, I think there's going to be some curiosity about this council. So I would expect to see, the meetings have never been more accessible with Zoom and electronic coverage. And so council in many ways has never been more available to the public. I suspect there's going to be a lot of watching, and I'm certainly going to be watching because as somebody that pays a little bit of the bills around here, I'm very interested to see how they do.
Well, I mean, we just had last hour, we were talking with Tom Cooper about the tiny homes, and this is not directly related, but one of the things I know they're coming to council early on because the budget process starts very early. They're looking for some help from the city. I have an idea that an awful lot of groups with the new councillors who are on there will be thinking this may be an opportunity to be heard and to maybe get some money. I do wonder about that 6.9% tax increase. I don't expect it'll end up being 6.9%, but I kind of also don't think it'll be that 2% that we usually get.
It doesn't feel like that. I listened carefully to Mr. Zagaric when he laid it out. He actually sort of laid out the picture for the outgoing council. And I think he repeated it basically earlier this week or last week, I guess, when they were having their orientation sessions. It sounds like a lot of the usual sources of money short of increasing taxes are simply the doors are all closed. And I think it's going to be a challenge. And then if you have a bunch of people coming up with requests or renewed requests, renewed expectations. They've been there before asking for money and they didn't get it. They think they will now with the new council. Somebody's going to go away unhappy. So it'll either be the people that are looking for money or it'll be taxpayers in Hamilton, and the homeowners that I always think about with that scenario are the ones that are on fixed incomes. Who are already, in some cases, if they're only getting the basic pensions, they're ponying up 25% of their income in property taxes right now for some of these modest homes. And you jack that up even by a few $100s, it could make a huge difference in their lives.
It is going to be the start of an interesting 4 years. It could be a very calm, very demure 4 years. I think John tend to think it may not be that at all.
I can't see it, my friend.
John Best, publisher of the Bay Observer. Always love having you on. Thanks for taking time today.
My pleasure, Scott.